Hello, good morning. Can you all hear me? Say yes.
We can hear
Yes.
you.
Awesome. Yes, I can just take this off, put myself to spotlight. Hi, I'm Mahesh. I am a product manager at Google. I am building AI agents. Before that, I was at AWS, before that, Meta, before that, Microsoft. I've done a lot of work in AI agents and machine learning. And I love these sessions where every Saturday I just come and we talk about what is latest, greatest. And today I have an action packed session for next 30, 35 minutes. How it will go, I will talk to you and give you three sections here. We will talk about how actually three top AI agents trends in or AI trends in 2025. What are the things that are changing or changing with which will have a huge impact? And then we will talk about how can you actually choose which agents you needs to build, or how can you a framework or just simple thinking of what to build, what not to build, do's and don'ts. And hopefully I can give you some tools to get started as well if you choose finally a AI agent to build. Does that sound interesting? Say yes, sir. Sorry, you say yes, Mahesh. Okay, if that sounds interesting, we can get started. I don't want to waste time because every time we go over, I want to give you a lot of time to ask questions. Uh, with that said, let me just share my screen. And if you share my screen, you just say, there will be a lot of things that are going in the background. Feel free to write your questions in chat. Karan and people, a lot of people from our team are here who will let you in or help your questions get to me. But mostly I will be talking and then I will say questions and then we will have an interactive session. So before I go any further, I think now all of you know me. This is my biodata, or this is a quick interaction who you are talking to. So Mahesh, again, if you joined late, and we are getting started with our session today. Today we have three things. This is our agenda. And before I go there, I just want to quickly walk you through something which I believe and where this session lies. So I believe that if you want to be an AI PM in 2025, you need a lot of things. It's no more like I know AI, I've run Chat GPT and it will work. You need a deep understanding of an AI ecosystem because that's where your strategy questions are. When people are asking like, hey, what will you present to the as your AI proposal for this company? Or you are the CEO or you are the product manager in this, present your things to CEO. They're expecting you to know three things, which is what is this company, what is working for that company, what is not working for that company, and what's happening in the world. When they are saying what's happening in the world, they are saying what's happening in the world of AI, which is what are the AGI builders doing. Can somebody give me three examples? One example of an AGI builder company. AGI is artificial general intelligence. Which are the companies which are building that? Because you need to know, if you want to build strategy, you need to know what's changing in the world. And that's where the first circle, deep AI ecosystem understanding. This is where you live on the edge of AI to find opportunities, to see where strategically place your company, your teams, your products. And that I think is the first pillar of building or becoming a good AI PM. Can somebody give me quick example of an AI AGI builder? Anyone? Just
Anthropic,
say
OpenAI.
DeepSeek.
perfect. DeepSeek, Anthropic, OpenAI. Great. AI tool builders. One example. Who are AI tool builders?
Uh,
Fiddler.ai that
AI
provides
Fiddler.ai,
Foundry,
an AI tool
Azure
which
AI
allows me to
Foundry.
see how my data relates to
perplexity.
the answer I gave or give me become responsible with AI. Great. Any other
cur-
tool? One more example of a tool.
It,
Perplexity.
Cursor.
This will be an interactive session. This will go like how it is going. So keep saying things. It's okay. We will all.
Deepchecks.ai.
cloud companies are building tools, right? Like such as SageMaker, Bedrock, same like Vertex AI from Google.
Priyanka, that's Priyanka's voice. I can't see anybody today.
Yes.
I'm kind of blind. Yes, Priyanka.
Yes,
Very good.
Mahesh.
SageMaker, ML tools. So basically, every cloud provider is saying, here are my tool chain to build your own AI or building agents. So they have something called prompt flow, which allows you to evaluate a lot of prompts fast. They also have drag and drop way to build an AI agent. They have an evaluation platform or tools to do evaluation. So Priyanka is absolutely right there, which is all the cloud providers. And somebody said data dog. Somebody said Sprinkler AI. All these are tools companies. AI vertical agents. Third, who are building AI vertical agents? These are agents which can actually take a job and do it end to end. Give me some examples.
Glean, Salesforce.
Deep research. OpenAI done.
Salesforce, I will put it in AI tools, right? They are not giving you a sales tool. They are not giving you an SDR agent, sales development representative as an agent. They are saying, "Hey, take our agent builder platform and build it on top of it." So they are giving you a tool chain to build your own agents, which is what Priyanka said, or which is what Azure or GCP or
May I ask a question? Before going into the actual toolings, can we get your definition of what an AI agent is? Because there is a lot of unclarity about that. So, what would be your definition of an AI agent?
that's a good question. What is your definition of an AI agent? Sometimes I get
That's easy to answer in that way. So, my definition of an AI
let me
agent,
take the hard one. Let
it's
me take the hard one.
no, no,
It's a
it's a system that deals with unstructured data and relies on tools to interface with the external world. That would be my definition. I've
yeah.
heard
I think
several other definitions that I do not agree.
yeah, okay, that's fine. My definition when I say AI vertical agents, they take on a vertical agent, vertical job. Like you can think of a software engineer, and anybody says, I will give you an agent which will do your software engineering task. Which software engineering task? Okay, development. That's a vertical. Software testing is one vertical. Software documentation is one vertical. Okay, then you can have a vertical agent for each one, which is I have an agent which does, given a code, it can write your documentation. That's a vertical agent. That's an AI vertical agent which write documentation for software. Now it can be even more specific. It write AI agent, AI vertical agent for documentation for only Python based AI services. What are I? So it will only write documents for AI services, and the code has to be in Python. That could be the narrow
That's why
definition.
I asked the question, because in my definition, those examples would be straightforward application of generation through LLMs or other generative models.
Yeah. So let's go
So,
with my definition just for fun today, and let's go to examples. So if that's the
okay.
example which takes on a vertical job, what could be that?
If I may chime in, based on what I understand, what vertical means is it could be a specific industry or it could be a specific domain. So, domain could be testing, QA testing, software development, product management, so creating PRDs and things like that. So, specific agents built for those specific domains is what I think of AI vertical agents.
Great examples.
So, for example, NICE is building a specific agents for customer service, like voice calling customers, right? So that's
Great,
one example. Yeah.
great. Moving on. So today we're going to focus exactly on, so that's basically you need to have that kind of ecosystem understanding, and there will be different definitions, and you should know what is that. You can call it, but there is a three fields. People are building the right models, which is the companies which are building the models. Then people are providing you tools to build agents, and third is people are shipping agents which you can actually give a task to, and if they do the task, you pay them for the task, and if they don't do the task, you don't pay them. Or you can have a usage base which is per minute. I know a company which is building an AI agent which can interview you, and they are charging you per minute. They are saying if you come to us, we'll charge you per minute, which is great, because that's how a human will charge you if they are helping you with interview preparation. They have an agent which basically helps you prepare for your interview, and they charge you per minute. Sounds good? Okay, that's ecosystem. You also need to have a deep technical expertise, which is at least you should know what these things, or what are the limitations, or what are the latest and greatest technology innovation that's happening, and by definition, what does that mean? So, for example, you should know how transformer work. You should know how chain of thought works, how long chain of thought works. We did a session last time on this where we talked about DeepSeek. We talked about how long chain of thought works and how they have used reinforcement learning with human feedback to enhance or build a model with much lesser data and a smaller size. So that's the second part, which is you need to have a deep technical understanding of ML and AI concepts. You need not to know how to build them, but you should know how they work, what are their limitations, and how they operate in these systems. That is, I think, that's my sign to move on, I think. And then you should have learning from AI projects. So you need to know how to discover these AI problems. What are the challenges in building AI systems which actually customer touch, feel, and use? How to design systems with human in loop and responsible AI things and pricing. So you should be able to talk about these things. And only way you can go and talk about these things is when you actually shipped or build projects and actually gave it to people to try it, not something for yourself, but actually people tried it and gave you feedback. If you combine all these things, that's your right AI PM persona. And that's what the if you have all three, you have a really high chance of leveraging the opportunities in AI PM space and also building real good AI products. That's how we think about. Then I put some professions here which are in the on the intersection of either one of these. They are a little debatable, but I put it something because I love to debate things. But I think you got the idea. This is how we think about AI PMs in 2025. What about today's session? So today's session, we're just going to focus on really vertical agents because there's a lot of confusion as we just saw in the beginning. We'll talk about what they are, at least my definition of what they are, and how to build few, and how to actually first identify these opportunities and then go after building them, and what to do and what not to do. Sounds good? That's our agenda today. If you just entered, we have done everything we needed to do. We're just wrapping up. Not just kidding. I think we're just going to go start with the agenda now and see what are the top 3 AI agent trends. I will just go to my screen. Harsha, go ahead. I will just stop sharing. People can share the community slides so you have access to them and we can go on board so we can be fast. I will stop every section for Q&A, but before I stop, just stay on the ride. It will take me 5-7 minutes to land some ideas and then 5-7 minutes of questions. We have 3 sessions or 3 topics to discuss, and hopefully we can wrap up in next 30 minutes with 2 questions on each, and then we can take longer questions in the later part of the session. Sounds good? I think that sounds good. Okay, Harsha, go ahead.
Sorry,
Harsha,
my burning question, and it's burning me up. It's what's the difference between agents and agentic workflows? So, is the agent as an entity working together different from workflows? I hear these terms interchangeably, and I'm not sure what they stand for. So, I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
I don't know, like agentic workflows is what agents follow. That's how would I think of. So think of it 3 ways. Just put your boxes in. I have 3 boxes, which is either people are building models which will power a lot of applications, whether they are co-pilots or agents, we don't care. So AGI builders, or you can say AGI model builders. So they have this hypothesis that they will continue to enhance the core capability. Then you have people who are building tools on top of it, which will say we will try to help these model builders to build them to production, which is people who provide you tools on how to manage your data, how to create an agent, how to evaluate an agent, how to put logging metrics and all. So those are your tool companies. And then you have AI agent companies, which is saying forget anything about all these 3 too. I will go and figure out the best tools, best everything. So I will abstract which models we are using or which tools we used. This is abstracted for me. You tell me a job. You tell me your code base. I will give you documentation for that. And then you pay me for either how much documents I wrote, or you pay me for how much code you gave me. and which models I use and do what I did is not. So now agentic workflows, I don't know where the people are placing them. It's a term which is used here and there, which could
Um,
be the workflow that this guy follows to get you to this outcome, and how that workflow can be then broken down into a pipeline of tools or services that needs to build to support that workflow, which will be under here. But I just don't know, like, is
yeah,
that
can
what
we?
you?
Yeah, let me add the context. Motivation for this is I've seen service architecture patterns in AI agentic thing, and then I've seen service patterns, and then I've seen architecture patterns. So that's the thing that led me to ask whether they're two
Yeah.
different or they're one thing.
No, I think that's the right way to think about it. So if you are building an AI agent, you need to come up with that AI agent workflow. And then you have to divide these workflow into their own requirements, and they all need to come from these tools and models. And you will have different models and different tools for different workflows. And eventually, if you create this pipeline, they will take one input, which is code, and give one output, which is a documentation. But
Quick
their
question.
implementation will have all these details. So thank you for giving the context, because a system architect or somebody who's writing engineering workflows or books will say call it an agentic workflow, while a product manager or industry or somebody who is trying to figure out what's next will call it AI agents or vertical AI agents. Nishita, last
Yes,
question, then I need to move on.
same question, topping it up. If we are building an AI agent, which is configurable depending on the needs of the enterprises, do you call it agent or tools? Just that.
Yeah. So if you are not responsible, if you are building the AI agent and you are evaluating it and you are not getting paid for the outcome, I will put it under tools. So if I gave you like prompt flow, which is a tool that Bedrock in AWS provides, Vertex provides Vertex Studio, these are all tools. You can use that to integrate your company data and deploy an agent for support, for marketing, for sales. But the quality of that is your responsibility. What data you add is your responsibility. How to do eval, metrics, logging, all is your responsibility. When I come to AI agents, Devin.ai, which says I'm going to write your code, maybe that. Or there is a company which does collections, I think Spotlight or something. What they do take is they talk with to a hospital, get the list of people who have not paid the bills. They make the calls. Their agent makes the calls and get the bills paid and get you dollars. And whatever dollars they get 50% of it. That's an agent. They don't ask the hospital to do anything. They take input or a list of people who have not paid, or integrate with their systems, which where they are picking the bills which are not paid every 90 days, and then start making the call and just bill them for the people who paid them back. Nishita, is that clear with
Mahesh, what
examples?
if we ask people in our enterprises to edit the prompts that we have pre-built as defaults and are configurable?
Yeah, I will put
AI
it under
agent
tools.
tool. Okay.
Yeah, you
Cool.
won't make
Thanks.
any difference here. If I'm not making collections, you will fire me. You just here the customer has nothing to deal with prompts, how it works, what happens. All the hospital is worried about is, can you get me this money back?
Responsibility is in AI agent versus in tools that responsibility won't fall. Okay, got it.
Correct. So this is outcome based pricing. This is pricing on basis of the service, right? If you call configure my service, how much usage based pricing, and this is token based pricing, which is also usage based pricing, to be honest.
Got it.
Right?
Helps. Thanks.
Today we will talk a lot of ecosystem. Ecosystem is always a lot of terms, a lot of confusion, but hopefully as we grow this community, we will get to some terms. So now we are getting clear. Model builders, tools. I don't know how to write a tool. So tools, and tools can be agent building tools also, as Nishita clarified. And then we have agents, which is trying to impersonate humans or take away some of the jobs, those are repeated. And they basically are doing outcome based services. Okay, if that's our definition, let's move forward. So, what's changing one question that you will get always is that, hey, write the strategy, or why would you think like this, or what should we create? And there, what people are trying to see is one aspect of that. When I answer that question is, I say, what's working for that XYZ company, what's not working, and what's changing, what's new, what's changing in AI. Let's focus on this one because these two are subjective. We can focus them or do some case study, but what's changing in our industry is kind of constant, or at least constant at today. So let's discuss what are those three things. If we want to make choices on what agents to build, we should know in the strategy piece what's changing in our ecosystem or our world. So what's new in 2025 or Feb 2025 to be precise is that models are becoming multimodal. We have multimodal and multi-agent systems. And what does that mean? That means you can actually have applications like computer control. Can I build computer control without multimodality? What is
No.
multimodal?
It means you can get both, not just text input, but you can get screen input.
Perfect. So I can
you have computer vision.
I can take pictures, I can take audio, I can take text as an input, correct? And if I wanted to build something which can control my computer, I needed at least two things, which is pictures and text. Because I needed to find and then I needed to click somewhere. Or if I needed to click, then at least I needed to know location of that. Okay, if I can build computer control, then what does that mean? So this is what, so what, now what? You're building this muscle which you need to have if you're building strategy for a company or answering questions like, what's next? How can I do this? XYZ, now what? So we have multimodal, we have multi-agents, we have computer control. What does that mean? Anyone?
Automation, a novel way of automating processes. So RPA is becoming can be driven by natural language.
Perfect. Great answer. So anything that is needed, a computer and some set of rules, a rule book, and then a human doing that job is up for AI models to go and grab. Correct? So that's something new. So that's one, which is multimodal and multi-agent systems are possible, and that are there are areas where they can go and apply. Like people have built cold calling agents. All they do is they look at a sheet and then they say, let's make these calls. And they actually impersonate your voice or CEO voice or any people voice in your call, in your company, and make that call for you. And if the person doesn't pick up the call, they also leave a voice message and a number to call back. Right? Which is earlier done by a human with all the persuasiveness or this human touch. Now it's a model which can do it at scale, 24 hours, 365 days without eating anything or having an HR policy of different countries, even if you have outsourced that job. So that's one. Great. Another thing is what's happening is, hey, so multimodal, multi-agents, computer control is here. That means much more simple, repeated tasks that have a rule book and all they needed is a laptop can be automated. So I will just leave a laptop and a model here. The second trend is multimodal and multi-agents. Right? Second thing is AI capabilities. AI reasoning capabilities or planning capabilities are growing month on month, at least 2 to 3x. O3 high is one example. Another example of reasoning models.
DeepSeek R1.
Thank you.
Yeah,
DeepSeek
what is
R1.
your outlook specific on this point?
This is a broad question. Let's continue. Please park your question. Let's take it in the end because my outlook can overrule all the agenda today we have. So reasoning, O3 high, anything else? DeepSeek R1. If these are the reasoning capable model, earlier what was the problem? When we built the co-pilots or chatbots, we could only answer questions based on what we got, and we got one shot to answer those questions, right? We did Q&A, and you asked me a question, I looked at the documentation, I answered the question. I can't plan, I can't reason through things, but now I can reason through things. If I can reason through things, then there are jobs or functions. So this is what's happening. So what is, I can actually do complex things with AI. Complex things means it requires a plan before I can go and execute. So here you had a rule book and you were just following a rule book. But now with AI reasoning, you can actually create a rule book at the runtime based on user inputs. If you can do that, then what happens is you can actually start automating people jobs, which is, let's say, text filing. Let's say very specific to you. Let's say you have service requests or complex support, which was not, you are not able to automate complex support, which is give me a grace period extension. Okay, I want to give you a grace period extension. Great. Can I automate it with a Q&A bot with just retrieval augmented generation? I can tell you, but it requires an action. That action requires a lot of steps to be taken. What is the kind of customer? Okay, if this kind of customer, then do this. If we have given a grace period extension before, then don't do it. All those rules needs to be there. At runtime, you have to look at the signals, create a plan, and execute that task. Now you can do those complex tasks as well. If you can do those complex tasks, then you are getting into this new realm of things where more things are possible. If more things are possible with AI reasoning, that means that idea that we were discussing earlier of building vertical job functions, which is in-house lawyer, which actually identify risk in your contracts is possible. In-house or a personal diet planner that let me cheat also and then plan for me accordingly is possible. And you can just go on with number of use cases here. Okay, if that's AI reasoning, the last part of this is to build these things. We have evolved AI tools also. Today, there are enough tools which allows you to build a no-code agent, evaluate it at scale, optimize it with human feedback or whatever conversations actually worked for you. Can we agree on these three? Any questions? I want to just stop here and take questions, and I can take that question which was earlier. What was my take on this broader?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
we can
On
get to
that
that.
point, I'm doing a little bit of research because I'm interested into this topic, and I've studied the current state of art with respect, to the reason capabilities of LLMs. And if I'm not wrong, the benchmarks achieve a level of accuracy that is between 50 and 60%, which is non-production grade. It's very far away from product from this to be production grade. The production grade system needs to have at least 98, 99% of accuracy. I don't see, based on my understanding of how LLMs works, because that basically are stochastic machines that take a sequence of text and then produce another sequence of text in output. The only inference and reasoning that they can do is just by mimicking the the instances of that reasoning that has been part of their foundational training. That is not reasoning, that is parroting something. So I would like to hear from you if I'm missing some
Broad
fundamental
question.
trends of research or not, because my opinion on this point is that they will never reach the level of accuracy that is needed for building a production grade or something that is going to be consumer facing. Eventually, for some internal tool, scouting, brainstorming, great, but not for doing something serious. So that is my point. I would be very
Describe
welcome
something
to,
serious.
sorry?
Describe something serious. Examples.
For example, having an AI agent that decides whether to not decommission, because I don't write I don't know the right English term, but that can take a decision over letting a patient go from an hospital, for example, or establishing the price of an insurance based on, but that is deterministic. So that is wouldn't be an AI agent. Another decision would be how to deal with an angry customer, for example. That is a very good customer, but that for the moment is used to be a very good customer, but for the moment is at a loss. And how do you deal with him? These
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
situations.
I think that's a good point. Anybody wants to chime in? This is a very, so let me just summarize.
I'm sorry,
What's your
I
name?
think I think we're going into very philosophical domain. So I mean, if we start down this road, we're never going to finish. So I
Oh,
think it's
thank
way
you.
beyond the scope of this lesson. So I mean, of this workshop, podcast, whatever. So I think it's just an open-ended sort of. I don't know. Can we not go there
The
and
benchmarks are not
focus?
open-ended. The question
Great,
is
great, great, great.
open-ended. The results of the
The
benchmark
whole
are not.
this whole
Sorry,
discussion is
sorry, sorry, sorry.
open-ended.
Sorry.
It will end up in how we define intelligence and whatnot. So let's just go. I mean, go with Mahesh's
Could we let
agenda,
Mahesh
please.
speak, please?
This is great. Thank you for all your passion. Please raise your hand going forward. Let me just take it. I think I agree with both of you. One is, hey, this is a core matter. And if we are making assumptions, let's validate those assumptions where they are true, where they are not. And second is, actually we are just having this as a huge, we are opening a box which might take 3 hours, and after that we will not even agree, because we will agree to disagree. So let me just take like my take on it, because if the person asks the question, I'm generally try to answer it. So at least my take, and then we won't debate it here. So first of all, I agree. So 3 points I think in the initial discussion, what you landed are true. One is, hey, LLMs by itself are basically next word predictors. And if they are next word predictors, how can they build the capability to have reasoning, planning, and that capability? Second point was, if you test it on real tests, not just benchmark of language understanding or question answering capabilities, their capability is really low, which is even the best model today, which has gone through last human exam, which is also a benchmark, but at least more complex or good benchmark, has only performed 25% good. And that also the best they have done from 13 to 25% with the latest greatest model. So that means that 75% of the, even what we can configure as a benchmark is failing. How can we claim that we are ready for production for complex systems? So that's the second good point that came out. And the third good point that you can also hear these when you are proposing these are the kind of questions you will get. So it's a really good point to land. So that's the second thing I heard. And the third thing I heard is, they will never be ready for production scale where a human insight is needed, where I was trying to take it further, which was give me examples. So I agree with all these three. But at the same time, there are examples where you don't need human thinking. Let me explain it with an example. So we said, what is going to be automated and what's not going to be automated with vertical agents. If you have more reasoning, you can automate complex support tasks. What do I mean by that? That means that instead of just answering or giving me how to instruction, you can actually troubleshoot with me. I will share my screen, and an agent will actually look at my signals and look at what is the current state of my product or my application. And from there, make some changes and then say, now is it solved? Rather than telling the customer that try this, try this, try this. So that is not possible without reasoning capabilities, but at 25% that's possible. We tested and it works. If that works, then I can go in automation of support, which was 30% with just Q&A non-reasoning capability, to 70%. 70% means I have an AI agent which actually can solve 70% of all customer problems, even super technical, which is millions in dollars in cost. So that's possible. Last 30%, where a customer, as you gave the example, is just saying, not want to talk to us, just saying, go to hell, I don't want to talk, I don't want to talk, give me to agent. At reasoning, you can also find out which to transfer to human agent and which one you can handle. So that is also possible. And if that's possible, then you can make that call with much more intelligence than earlier. And if what I'm saying is true, which you can't debate now, but if that's possible, then which each reasoning layer, which each time we are increasing this accuracy or last human feedback or these ideas, we are getting into more and more percentage of these vertical job functions that people are offering today, they can take more and more. And that I think is where we were trying to go. And I think we should continue with that. And thank you for supporting the idea that we should continue making progress rather than like just debating, because ecosystem is up for debates. I want to have smaller debates, but I think one question or two questions and let's stop there. Can we all agree? Say yes. Both of you say yes, and then we can move on. I think they said yes. Okay, great. So let's say these are the three trends. We have more capabilities now getting into production, which has given computer use as an application. We have higher reasoning, which is allowing us to impact much more into these vertical job functions, which were earlier confined to human domain only, but now 30 to 70%. And every iteration of these this year will increase that percentage. And then these tools will continue to increase. If that's happening, then what's happening? What can you do to find these opportunities? So these are three trends, and we have taken two questions on this. So now let's talk about if you need to build these agents. So I have convinced you enough that these 2025, you have enough capabilities in the models to hear, see, read, and reason or think. And then you have enough tool, which I will show you a couple of them by the end of session, if you allow me. Then what framework you should use to build these agents or find the opportunities. Like I was asking for examples, we will look at examples where these companies are going and people are actually building these agents, and how can you find those as product managers? Because I firmly believe that for us in 2025, we're less worried about building the right AI. We have to worry a lot about building the right application of this AI, and we have to start now. So two things, either you are looking at, if you're choosing these vertical agents, you're looking at two major ways. One is people are looking and creating vertical agents, which I talked about earlier, or we have spoken a lot now, which is taking a job function and trying to see how much of that job function now can be given to AI. And I 100% agree that it's really hard today capabilities to take everything with AI. But I'm seeing from 30 to 60%.
Mahesh, we're not able to see your board.
Oh, thank you, Priyanka. Priyanka just makes my life. Anybody says that gets 50 points. I will share today what these points get you. Okay. So this year, we can take on these, like, let's continue on the support example. We can take at least 30 to 70% of support queries with these job functions. So let's call them vertical agents. And then you're building agents which are horizontal, which are taking on some function which is common across job families, but now can be done with AI better. One example of that is a tool that allows you to do any workflow and automate it. In this tool, what you do is you just have your AI agent, you show it your application and say, I do side by side these two documents. I take this information from here and I move it here to fill this form. Then I go here, I click this validate button. These two things come up. Then I look at these three documents. Then I change these two, and then it fixes. This tool actually learns this flow, and then you can say, hey, based on this, fill this new form for this new customer. And then it continues doing that for you. So this is, if you can do something like this, which is what we used to do, which is a tool which allows you to share your screen, a tool which allows you to have Zoom-like things, of future with AI, where you can show it any workflow and it can actually automate that workflow. That cuts across different verticals and is useful for many job applications. So what I have seen personally, people are building these vertical agents and they are building horizontal agents. What are the example of these? Let me share my screen and we will go through them to just ground ourselves in reality and feel a little bit more about it. So we have seen these back office automation tools, and I will give you next one. I will give you some examples with links that you can actually read more. So RFP, if you just search for RFP automation, RFP is request for proposal. And every company, especially in government domains, have to fill these RFPs. And the biggest challenge is which RFPs to go find and which RFPs to go, which are first searching through all government websites and finding what are the RFPs. And second is identifying the RFPs that are suitable for your organization and then creating a summary for your team so that they can make the call whether they want to go for it or not. That function is very consistent, happens in all the companies which are operating in government domains, and there are agents which are actually going to take that and solve that for you. Second is contracts. So, okay, now you fill the RFP, there is a contract that came your way. There is a legal team which looks at that contracts and find risks. They actually have a playbook and they say, we accept this much time in limitation of liability. We take 60 days of payment terms. And then based on that rule book, they go and find those terms in the new contract and actually redline them and send it to the other party saying, hey, can you change these? This is not happening for me, or this is not what we agree on. That function is also getting automated. I have seen enough examples. I can show you a demo one day. Uh, Another one is, okay, you signed the contract, but a lot of people are actually not supplying you the terms they have given you. How can you automatically find those lapses or things they promised but did not deliver and deduct from their bill or their invoices the amount, or ask them to change the invoice automatically? That function is also up for grab. Then you are doing a lot of compliance, and compliance is based on the contract and also the regulations around data, which is GDPR, CCPA, and every industry have their own compliance requirement. And you take that document and your contract and you create a compliance checklist and you give it to the project managers, the engineering managers, the downstream suppliers, and make sure you are compliant all along. That function is also getting ripe for AI automation. And I was talking about this update of documentation based on customer queries rather than writing everything in the documentation in the world and then nobody can figure out how to get help. So these are for a few vertical agents or back office agent which you can take on these job functions and solve it. What are the example? There are three examples. These are all YC companies. You can look at their page. The first one, this is basically they are looking at the task and actually automating the task. I got time, so I found these YC pages also for you. So these are the companies that Y Combinator just funded in 2024. And I just did a random search on this. And I found these, which are all, and there are many actually. So the first one basically says, hey, you can automate testing. So if you're building an AI agent, a Q&A bot, a chat bot, it's really hard for you to test it. So any AI agent They will create the conversations, they will test the edge cases, and they will give you a report, which is very hard to do. Like coming up with what to test for product managers or any company is a hard problem to solve. They are solving that task. Second is uh, which I was talking about. This is the base pilot, which actually lives in your browser. And if you show it what workflow you want to do again and again, it can do it. So if you go and check every day for a particular restaurant or particular tickets at a certain time, you can just automate that workflow, leave your laptop open. It will keep checking for you every 30 minutes. And if something changes, it will book that for you. And this one is the sales team. So everybody needs to make calls, whether you are making calls to your potential employers, or you are making calls to your people who are not paid you, or you are making calls to people to remind they have an appointment. This company goes and automates that for you. So that particular task of reminding people or making a call for any reason, they are going after that. And I would just let you go for the rest of it, but that's happening as well. I will stop here, take maybe a couple of questions, and then I have last one. Or I can continue because we spent earlier time. What do you guys think?
Yes, if we can continue, that would be great. And in the essence of time.
Thank you, Priyanka. Priyanka is the today coordinator for everything. Okay, how to get started with and what's do's and don'ts. So I have spent last 2 years building agents or helping people build agents. And here is my tips and tricks on what to build and what not to build. So before that, now I need some help because Karan said, Mahesh, make sure this happens. So I would love if you are liking this so far, I would love you to repost this session so others can help. We're trying to build this community, which is bringing all the good IPMs. You see the kind of discussion we have in this forum. I would love to have more people having this kind of discussions or alleviate what's what all we can learn together. So one request here is please take this post and post it so others know about this session and we can continue. So please take this. Somebody put it in chat so people can go and post it now. Second is we have the next session where we will look at how can you actually observe and evaluate your agentic workflows. This will be little on the project or the circles we discussed earlier. This will be on the side of concepts of AI. We'll look at how you actually evaluate or what you need to observe in an AI agent journey. We'll break down what an agent does. We'll see how to observe it and evaluate it. Please sign up for that session. The first 500 signups will get a chance to ask questions. After that, we will not. So that's a way for us to get first 500 signups quickly. See, some people are doing marketing for us and they're doing a good job. So two things. This one, if you repost, uh, we are also running one great thing, which is uh, we will see who reposts and we will put you in a draw. And if you come up, you get 15 minutes with me. And then you can ask me all your questions. I will give you all the take I have and you can debate as much as you want. Or I can help you with anything. What are your next goal and how can I help you achieve that goal? So you get that session. So two motivators to grow our community and also part of this. We will also trying to make a committee which allows us to have these events more structured and run it like a community which is broader than Mahesh. So please do these things. That's my request. Without any do, let's three advices I have, which are very simple. But this year, please do not build on your hackathon projects. Hackathon projects is somebody gave you an idea or somebody has a tool chain they want you to test, and you three, four people met together and you looked at the solution, and then you came up with an idea which took you 3 hours and you build on it. You have a prototype that working. uh, please do not spend a lot of time on those ideas which are solution led. This is the time to build problem specific ideas. Like the example I gave, cute PDF is a good solution based idea. Okay, I have this solution, I can go next mile and then I will solve it. You will get traction, but you won't build a company or you won't build a career in that domain. So I would say don't do that, at least in 2025. I would have suggested you to do it in 2024 or 2023 or 2022. But now I think little bit more thinking, little bit more discovery, little bit more what you as a PM is so good at. You need to do that before you start building or coming up with AI ideas. Now, if you don't do that, what you should do? The second thing what you should do is you should identify the domains that you have expertise in. For an example, if you are working in security, see how the security has challenges. Is it a security compliance the biggest pain for you? Is it the security, finding the right security threats which are already happened somewhere, but finding them fast is the problem? Now you have enough tools, but search your domains. And if you are working in tools companies, then find people who are actually working in those domains which you are working on. So if you're building an agent which automates law or in-house contracts, please work with in-house contract lawyers. Have them a partnership. You should have a PhD level understanding of the domain that you are dealing with. Because without that, you won't be able to build the customers. You won't be able to see, which we were talking earlier, like people say, let me just automate support. Support has real challenges. People just come and start saying F words right away. Are you going to, what reasoning capabilities will help you there? So knowing that, you will know which stage you are targeting, which customer you are going after, and how to put the right guardrails. You have the tools in 2025. Applying them is the challenge. And for application, you need domain expertise. Please do not let it for granted and get the domain expertise. You should have absolute clarity on what you are building. And last one is build in future, which is, if you think about, if you stay in this community or if you read a lot on online, you will know what's happening. You will know what the future will come. Don't build for something that was past. Build something that will have a lot of use cases in future. For an example, agent to agent interactions, how AI agents will talk or negotiate with AI agents. Because any example that I gave you, once we build that agent, the other side has a problem, because now they are getting many more. For an example, we have an agent which applies jobs. So now you apply jobs and everybody automated the job application. So everybody's applying 20, 30 jobs every day, which is very much they are capable to do. And now they can do it. Earlier they can't. Now the other side has a problem that they are getting not 30 application in a day, they are getting 30,000 application in a day. So they will have an agent, and eventually agent will talk to agents. That's the future. But if today you look for those use cases, you will get a very small beachhead market, and there's nothing more in there. But if you firmly believe in that future, building a tool or building an AI agent to agent communication is the right problem to solve. If you are in tooling or if you have built protocols all your life, then going after that problem is the real good problem to solve, which will be a lot of use cases in future, but has a very small use case today. So that's an example. So three things. One, please do not build on your hackathon projects. Even if you build them, spend a lot of time doing discovery, hire product managers who can do it for you if you're going alone, and have a domain expertise. Even if you're a product manager, just talking to customer is not helpful. Having domain expertise, what are the limitations, what are the regulations, what, where I'm going to play, and how I'm going to evaluate this system is the super important thing. And if you did my course, you know evaluation requires you to have domain expertise, because the questions you're going to ask are very domain specific. And third, please build for future so that you can stay great. Last thing, three tips there also. If you're building your first prototype, do not spend too much time building an awesome front end or creating an awesome first your experience. Try to do integrations. AI agents will work with your existing apps. So integrate with mail, integrate with Slack. That's your front end. And then respond people. For an example, if you're doing contract analysis, you can just say, hey, CEO, hey, sales, hey, in-house lawyer, I will integrate with Outlook. If you get anything which has a contract or Slack, just paste it on Slack. I will analyze it, I will comment it, and I will respond to you back in Slack. You have saved a lot of time building the right UX, and you are meeting them where they are. So that's number one. Number two, start with no code tools. Prompt Flow in Bedrock, Vertex Studio in GCP, AI Foundry in Azure, all are there. There is a lab we built. I wanted to show you, but let's quickly do it. So this is a tool or a lab which is available to everybody. This is Langflow, an open source tool which allows you to build apps. And how can you build this app? It's super simple. You go here, you download this JSON file. This is my blog mailer. It allows me to look at my newsletter I have signed up. It finds an article and creates a blog, which I can read rather than reading whatever the newsletter is shipping me. Can we get the GitHub link? It's on the slides and you can get it also. Somebody said paste it there. Okay, you got that. What you do is you go here, you say import, and you can import that JSON file right here. Once you import that, your workflow will look exactly like mine. All you have to do is authenticate your Gmail because it's reading from my Gmail. Just click this button, continue, continue, and now it can read all my emails. Great. Uh, not that great. It can't read all my emails. I will tell it. So now when you run it, you can say, hey, read this email from this address, latest email from this email address. And then it has an agent, which I just dragged and dropped. And what it does is it finds the right article for me to read. So I need not to read their whole post, which is most of the time they are selling what they are building. They are not giving you information. So I ask it to give me the crisp one thing that I should read from this. And then it converts it into this format, which I like to consume information, which is what, so what, now what. And if I get that, then I can just run it. I run it. I say, hey, give me recent addresses. I just said get recent email from this, which is nothing but a newsletter provider to me. This is AI News. Then it found this article, which is super helpful for me. It said, could Alibaba go and AI power the next generation of iPhones in China? And then instead of reading that, it created a summary which I wanted to read, which is
Does
what
this only
so.
work with OpenAI? Like,
No, no, that's a good question. You can change this flow to work with any models. They support a lot of models, including latest, greatest models. So you
right.
can check the model provider here, and you can pick Grok, you can pick Samba, you can bring your custom, which is your endpoint on Hugging Face, which can be R1, Google, Anthropic, Bedrock, everything pretty much.